lovelies, welcome to my channel. On my channel, I will be showing tutorials and how-to videos on sublimation, hot fix rhinestones, shea butter, after shower body oil, and I just purchased a new toy, my laser machine. So I will be diving into some laser projects. Alrighty, enjoy the next video. Hello lovelies, I'm about to whip up a batch of shea butter. I have four 4-ounce jars to complete. So let's go over my supplies that I have on the table. Let me put on my gloves. Okay, I have my mixer, I have my scale, I have my measuring bowls, spoons, I have my big mixing bowl, I have arrowroot powder, vitamin E, shea butter, don't fall. I put in there, let me put on my other glove. Almond oil, fractionated coconut oil, apricot oil, and avocado oil. And I have my various fragrance oils. I have 4 different scents that I need to make. And I also have my 4-ounce jars. Now, what I'm going to do first is, since my camera is on this end, I need to bring my double boiler over on this side. Okay. This is my pot with water in it, and it's going to serve as my double boiler. After I measure my shea butter in here, I'll put that on top. So let me put my bowl that I have already cleaned and sanitized. Okay. Almost there. I need about 9 ounces of shea butter. There we go. Every little gumdrop. Now, I melt down my shea butter. Because sometimes you don't know how the shea butter is processed. And if you just blend it, sometimes it be grainy. So I melt it down. I melt it down until it's a liquid. And then I add in my oils. And then I have to put it in the freezer so that it can solidify some before I mix it. Because if I mix it at a liquid, it'll take forever for it to be whipped shea butter. So this is my process. So as not to have a watch pot boil, I will bring you back periodically as it starts to melt. Okay, as you see, we're about halfway there. And you don't want to necessarily have a high boil with your water. You want to like a medium heat. You don't want to rush it because you don't want to overheat your shea butter and ruin the good properties, the moisturizing properties that they have. So you just want to go slow. And stirring it helps the shea butter melt. So since that is doing that, I can measure out my oil that I will put in there once the shea butter is completely melted. So let me get my scale. I'm going to turn this off because I think the heat. See if I can move this without burning myself. Because it is hot. As you can see, we are almost there. I done turned off the heat. I'm going to stir this up. And if I move the my mixing bowl out the way, you probably can see the scale. Okay. Let's turn that on. And I have 4 different oils that I need to measure out. And some people don't like shea butter because it's very oily or greasy. And some people like it because it's very oily and greasy. Okay. So I'm using about 1.30 ounces of each of the oils. And basically you can use any carrier oil that you like. This is just a blend that I like. Okay. Alrighty, I'll mix in my oil. Okay, I'll give this a good stir. So what I'm going to do is put a piece of saran wrap over top. Put this in the freezer probably about 25 minutes until it solidifies around the edges and it's kind of liquidy in the middle. You'll see when I bring you back. Okay, I've just taken the shea butter out the freezer, and if you can see, it's solid around the edges and a little liquidy in the middle. And I think I had it in there for about 30 minutes. Now, sometimes this still may not be enough. Once I start mixing it, mixing it adds heat to it. So if it's not thick enough for me to whip it up, after I whip this up, I'll put it back in the freezer for another 5 minutes. And what I like to do is scrape around the edges because that's where it thickened up the most. see it's thickening it up, but it's still runny, but it's getting there. Let's see what we got here now. Put the blender on that side so you can see. You see how it stays on the beaters? That's what you want. So you know it's solidifying. It's whipped. Alrighty. So I'm going to lean that to the side because I'm going to put some beetroot powder in there. So I have to measure that off. And beetroot powder helps with the silkiness. It gives a silkiness, and it also cuts down on the greasiness. I'm going to put in there about a quarter of an ounce. This spoon ain't working. Let me use my regular teaspoon. I'll be all day with that one. Okay, that should do it. And I'm going to punch it in there so that when I turn on this mixer, it won't all scoop up in my face. And the arrowroot powder just gives it like a silkiness, and it cuts down on the greasiness some. And don't get me wrong, it's still going to be greasy, but not as much. think we are good. So, like I said, I have 4 scents that I need to make. So I need to measure them off so that I can mix in the fragrance. Okay. What I need. My first scent is my first scent is what I like to call Refresh 5. It's a dupe of Chanel 5. And I'm going to put a 1/2 ounce.
Alexa, give me a 4-minute time.
I'm going to mix it in like this to get it all in there. And then I'm going to use the blender to whip it back up. Okay. It's too liquidy. So what I'm going to do is put it back in the freezer for about a minute or 2. Okay, while I'm waiting for that jar to solidify, whether that fragrance, I'm gonna go to the next one. Okay. Get my fragrance. This one is pink sugar. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, let me get my spoon.
Is that for you, Shea?
Let me get my spoon together.
Alexis, give me a 4-minute time.
And I will put this in the jar.
Is that for you? Alexis, stop.
Look how creamy that is. So, I will put this over to the side. And put it next to the fragrance oil so that I won't forget what it is, so I can label them appropriately. So now I have to go rinse this bowl out and spoon so I can get ready for my next scent. But my other scent that's in the freezer should be ready, so let me get that. Okay, this is my first scent that I tried. Sometimes the velocity of a fragrance oil will thin out your shea butter, so each fragrance is different. But if your shea butter gets too loose, just put it back in the freezer for about 5 minutes. And then whip it back up. Okay. Another jar. This was the spoon that I used with that. sure I'm close enough.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
And I tap it down to make sure it goes to the bottom so that the jar can be full. And that's that one. Okay. So I have to go wash my utensils, my beaters, because I have 2 different scents on there and I got 2 more scents to do. So I'm going to go do them and I'll bring you back when I finish. Okay, I'm on my last jar. And I get to mix this one in the original mixing bowl. I have to scrape the edges on this one because it's a bigger bowl. See how this looks. It's creamy. Look. Okay, I think that should do it. My last jar. Move that out the way so that I can. Alrighty. See if this will do better as opposed to the spoon. Nope, I'm making a mess with this as well. And I did mix a little more shea butter than I needed for this order, because anytime I make shea butter for somebody else, I make sure that I have a little left over for me. And that is my last jar. Alrighty, so I'll put that in my jar later. So I will show you my 4 jars. And I'll get them clean up. And these are my 4 jars that I did. And I'll get them clean up, packaged, and ready for shipping tomorrow. Alrighty, bye-bye.